Lisa?
We need to keep our youth here, so we need to incentivize them, create incentives for them. One of the thoughts that has been floating around that I have suggested has, how about we take and we encourage them to stay 5, 6, 8, 9 years and credit them 2, 3, 4% of their income tax each year. If they stay that long, they get a check. It's like a little tiny bank account. Congratulations to Senator Meyer on the CBIA endorsement. I'm looking for the endorsement of the people that are sitting in front of me and the people of the 12th District, not special interests.
Thank you. Lisa, what do you think are the major social issues facing our students and families today at
well,
school?
I just sent a freshman to college, and I have a 12-year-old son. And Senator Meyer has listed probably some of the most major social issues that we are addressing. Drugs, bullying, suicide, what their sexuality is. The list goes on and on and on. I do think that there is a place for the schools to be aware of what's going on. I think that they do need to have, I don't want to use the term accountability, but they do have some responsibility to come forth to parents and let them know that there's an issue going on, and hopefully give them some guidance. But it does start at home. And I realize that not every student lives in the Davenport household where mom and dad are married and we sit down and have dinner every night, except for the last few months, huh? But that's where the responsibility of our community comes in. It is my responsibility to look over to another child that maybe doesn't have that and reach out to them and hopefully help. So I don't think it's the role of government to create an answer to our social issues. I do think we have some responsibility in assisting in it, but not an answer.
Thank you. Lisa?
Just one additional comment. I think that Representative Heinrich is absolutely right. There's a lot of issues with internet safety. Again, having a freshman in college and a 12-year-old, I've been exposed to a lot of that. I will say that again, all government is local, and I think that each town is going to have different ways that they're going to think is the best to address that, and we should leave that to the individual towns and not create another mandate to oversee it.
Thank you. Lisa, what will you do to combat the continued rise in energy costs?
Continued rise in energy costs. Connecticut has the highest electric rates across the country, or second highest, I believe. Only second to Hawaii. So we need to think of alternative ways to outsource energy. Although I don't think that government should be the ones creating the energy, I think we need to create incentives for businesses to use solar, fuel cells, whatever we can to start saving energy costs.
Lisa?
Talented and gifted. When I was, back 10 years ago when I was in high school.
That was only 5.
It was only 5, please stop. I was part of a program, I was a consortium program, where I went to another school and was part of a graphics program because I was excelling in the arts. You know, when I first started this, I started to think to myself, how can we get children that have talents and gifts more exposed to the real world? Part of the great portion of that graphics program that I did was I actually went out into the field. So what if we were to create incentives for businesses, biotechnology, for them to come in and work with our students? What if we were to bring in an energy company to come in and teach our students about solar and get them excited about learning about these things? I really do think that we have an opportunity here to bring businesses back in to help us. I'm running out of time.
Thank you. Lisa?
I'm going to expand upon something Scott just said. The recent budget was balanced on a smoke and mirrors presentation. We borrowed from bonding. We took from the federal government, we robbed from the pensions, and we raised our taxes and fees. We were in a debate last week, and Senator Meyer came forth and said, we have a surplus. Well, let me ask you something. If you max out your credit cards to be able to pay your household income, your household expenses, groceries, whatever it may be, and then you all of a sudden get a tax return check of $200, do you now have a surplus? No, you don't. We have serious problems. We do need more transparency, but we need honest people up there coming forth saying exactly what is happening. I think that we are one of the wealthiest states in the nation. I don't think we have a revenue problem. I think we have a spending problem. I think that a progressive tax is something that we need to be very careful with. I think that we don't need to raise taxes right now. We need to address how we're spending. Senator Meyer has talked about how large government is and how he would like to see government reduced. I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's what I started campaigning on in April when I started this. We need to take care of business now. I take very seriously the thought of reducing government. I don't want people who work for the state to think I am saying that we're going to go in there and just cut all of the jobs. I've employed people. I understand what it means to hire somebody, and I understand what it means to lay somebody off. The state needs to look at when they're hiring somebody as carefully as when they need to lay them off. They need to understand the investment that they are making in that person and understand the longevity of it.
Thank you.
I do have a comment to make. Scott has talked about the last 6 years. Again, we knew things were coming down the pike and things were getting scary. Back in February of 2009, the current administration put together the Commission of Enhancing Agency Outcomes. That commission's job was to reduce state government. It's now October of 2010 and absolutely nothing has been done. We need people up in Hartford that are going to start working much faster than 18 months.
Deb?
Shucks! I stated a few minutes ago that Connecticut is one of the wealthiest states in the nation. Yet, we're facing a $3.5 billion deficit. How could that be? Well, as I said, we have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. We have balanced our budget with smoke and mirrors. We've relied on borrowing, taxing, raising fees, being unappreciative to our businesses, and relying on federal government. It's getting tired, huh? Quite frankly, I think that probably one of our biggest problems is this state needs to be more business friendly. Many times people think that business is part of the problem. Well, quite contrary, business is actually part of our answer here. When UTC says anywhere but Connecticut is where they want to do business, we should be worried. I'm worried. I don't know if my 18-year-old daughter is coming back to Connecticut to live here. It's one of the major reasons I started to do this. I had to lay somebody off a year and a half ago. It was the most difficult day of my life. My partner and I were physically ill when we had to take Dorothy into the office and tell her that. I truly believe that our founding fathers knew what they were doing when they wanted us to go, govern, and go back and live our lives. 36 of your state senators are attorneys and full-time politicians. 3 of them are business owners. We need teachers, we need nurses, we need doctors, we need engineers. We need people out there that are living your life every single day to govern. I hope you will look at a business person, a mom, and an interior designer and say, I'm going to give her a shot. Thank you.
I am Lisa Davenport,
and we approve this message.